Hello everyone and welcome back. In this guide we're going to teach you all about maps and how to sustain them. I hope you find it useful and I hope you enjoy. Maps are these things, and I've got a whole stash tab full of maps here at different tiers. So maps range between a tier of 1 and a tier of 16, and then there's some unique maps as well. Maps drop from mobs from Act 8 onwards. Now, bear in mind that while you're running the quest line and you haven't run any maps yet, you can only drop tier 1 maps. And if we look at our tier 1 maps, we've got a very limited pool of tier 1 maps. There's 4 different ones. Now, when we grab one of these maps, you'll see that it just says tier 1, and it also gives a region Lex Proxima. So if we open the map with G, this is the endgame atlas. And if we click on this map, it will tell us where it is. So it's here. And you'll notice that this is actually tier 8, and that's because we've leveled this area up using these watchstones. If we take these out, you'll see that this is now level 1 again. So by placing watchstones from the Conquerors, which I'll talk about in another video, we can increase the tier of the map. So make it harder. The monsters will be harder, the boss will be harder. You'll get better rewards from it. So the problem a lot of new players face is actually getting enough maps to actually keep running maps, because they'll run out. So how do we stop yourself from running out of maps? How do we sustain that map pool? So when you first start out, your atlas will look pretty empty. Just look in the top left-hand corner, and you'll see the sort of beginning game atlas. That's like 12 maps in or something. And you'll see there's not much on there. And that's because the only way to drop a map initially is to run a map that's connected to it. Say I've only got this map, and it dropped in Act 8, and I don't have any others. I've got a bit of a difficult situation now. If I use this map and don't get another, my Atlas expansion's complete. I'm going to have to go back to the game and try and get some. There is a prophecy that drops maps as well. So why is it important to run more than one kind of map? Firstly, when you start the Atlas, any map that you haven't yet discovered can't drop unless you run a map that's connected to it. So while running Jungle Valley, for instance, I can only drop maps that I've either one already collected, that are at the same level or lower, or a map connected directly to it. So for instance, Jungle links to Crater, Underground Sea, and Peninsula. I can drop any of those maps from within that map. Now maps can only drop maps of their tier or up to 2 higher based on the monster you get them from. A white monster can only drop the same tier as the current map. A magic or rare monster can drop 1 tier higher, and a map boss can drop 2 tiers higher. You've also got this bonus completion, which gives you 1% chance per bonus completion to gain 1 map higher than that. And what you do for those is, if you've got a white map, you must run it magic or higher to be able to get the bonus completion on it. And then you've got to complete the boss at the end of the map. For yellow maps, you've got to do the same, but the map's got to be rare. And then for red maps, which is the top tiers of maps, you run them the same, but it's got to be rare and corrupted in order to get the bonus objective. Once you've got that bonus objective, it stays there forever. So using this, you can start to build up your pool and spread outwards. Now these watchstones come from Conquerors, and these Conquerors only spawn in the outside corners of the map at the start. So you actually want to start pathing towards the end of the map, and you also want to run maps at the highest possible tier that you can actually run at the time. So if you manage to drop like a tier 2, don't continue dropping tier 1s, try and get more tier 2s. If you don't do that, you've only got a chance of dropping tier 1 maps. With a tier 2, you've got a chance of dropping tier 2 or tier 1, or the one higher. How can we encourage maps to drop from maps we're running? So it's all about item quantity. Maps, like pretty much anything else in Path of Exile, can be crafted. And we start off with Cartographer's Chisels. And this improves a map's quality. So if we improve it by 5%, you'll see that item quantity is increased by 5%. And this goes up to 4 levels, so we can have up to 20% on a completely untouched map. Now that means that there's 20% increased chance of dropping an item. And as monsters drop multiple items, its chance of dropping even more. The thing being that the more monsters you have in your map, the more chance of a map dropping there is. Now also, as we craft this higher, so if we use a transmute, we'll turn it magic, you'll see that we get a buff on top of the item quantity. We had 20%, it's now gone to 43 because we got 23 off it being magic. And you'll see that as we increase the rarity of the map, we're also increasing the sort of negative effects it has on it. So this one has 27% more monster life, and monsters have 30% chance to avoid elemental ailments. And we can scale that up and turn it rare. And now we've gone up to 72% item quantity. We've increased the monster damage. Monsters now reflect elemental damage, so if you only do elemental damage, you're going to one-shot yourself on them. And 25% less effective curse on monsters, and players have point blank. So the map is much more profitable, but at the same time it's much more difficult. And this is basically the way it works throughout Path of Exile. It's risk versus reward. The higher the risk, the more the reward. Now, if we corrupt this, which is sort of the idea if you want to get silly maps, you'll see that this has now got 8 attributes. Now, it's not guaranteed to do this, but it is in this case because we were lucky. So we've now got 8 negative effects on the map, and that increases the item quantity to a staggering 127%, and it can get higher than this. So what other ways can we work on getting this higher? So fragments are another way. Now, a fragment, you can use 4 of them to open up a area, or you can use 1 of them to open up a foul side area. But if you put 3 different ones in with a map, the map will increase in quantity by 5% for each sacrifice that you put in with it. So this is 127 plus 15 now. So is that our limit? No, it's not. So what we can also do is these watchstones. If we take them out of the atlas, there's also currency to craft these. So if we put this on it, and this on it, now has a chance to give us mysterious barrels, but also has a chance to give us extra monsters that convert when killed. So if we socket these back into the atlas, they will increase the quantity on the map as well, but also increase the number of monsters in that map. So the more monsters, the more chance you've got of getting that increased drop rate on each of those monsters. And it really scales like that to get the best possible map effect. So they're the ways of increasing our map quantity. But also for sustain, there's also a really good way of getting maps that you haven't even run yet. If we go and speak to Zana and go to purchase items, she will offer us a map within range of what we've done, and some of these we haven't already run. She'll also sell you extra chisels, although do check the market, because sometimes the market value of chisels would be better than the market value she offers. So if we haven't run any of those maps, we can buy them for, like these red ones are 5 alchemy, or 5 alchemy and 2 orbs of chance. So this is a way of getting a map we haven't got yet, and it isn't linked to our tree, but we really want it. Because again, the more maps we complete, the more bonuses we complete, the more chance we get of dropping higher tier maps. Other ways to drop maps are Delve and the Temple of Atsuatl. The Delve has a chance to drop maps anywhere, and the Temple also drops maps anywhere, but it also has a dedicated room to dropping maps. Now also, if you want to double the power of your map, when we run the map, if we run one at the right level, so you'll see here, this is a master mission for Zana. When you run one of these maps, Zana will give you a map within a map. So she will let you choose a map, and you will get completion for running that map, but it's also a free map within a map. So you don't have to pay for it, you don't have to craft it, it's already crafted for you, and you have no control over how that craft works, but you can choose from a pool of like 5 or 6. You do want to use this, and what these little numbers mean is white means white maps can roll it, yellow means it applies to yellow maps, and red means it applies to red maps. So I haven't got any for yellow, so if I was to use a yellow map, let's actually do that. So if I put in this yellow map and then try and run it, it'll tell me yeah, you do not have an atlas mission for this tier of map, for this map tier, and that's because it's yellow. If we switch it to white or red, then we can get it. Now we're not going to get any conquerors or anything on it because it's too low level, but that's how you run Zana within a map. It's also important to note that the other things can give you value as well. So Syndicate has a chance of Syndicate that can drop maps. Temple of Atsuatl spawns 3 areas within the map that you can then go and get maps from, and you've also got Einar Beast, which increase the monster pack size in the area and therefore increase your drop rate. Now if you completely run out of maps, there is a prophecy that could be useful for you, and that is called the Lost Maps. What that does is if you have the prophecy and you go into either the Chambers of Sin in Act 2 or Act 7, it has a chance to drop around 6 tier 1 maps. That will help you sustain the lower end of the atlas as you move into the higher end of the atlas. If there's anything I didn't explain very well that you'd like more clarification on, let me know in the comments below and I'd be happy to make a follow-up video. But also, if there's anything you'd like for me to target next from an endgame guide perspective, then please let me know and I'd be happy to oblige. And with that, if you enjoyed this video or found it useful, please don't forget to leave a like and maybe even subscribe if you haven't already. It will really help the channel, and I'd appreciate it very much. And with that, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. You've been watching Altec 2K. Thank you for watching.